Matt hadn't seen another soul in 11 days. Thin, exhausted, and filthy, he moved like a ghost through the ruins left by World War IV. Most cities were gone. Radiation poisoned the land, and survival was rare. From a distance, he spotted a colony, smoke curling from chimneys, solar panels tilting toward the sun, green plants stubbornly growing. Hope stirred. Slipping past broken cars and rotting streets, he approached carefully, hands raised. The colony walls, patched from scrap, looked strong. Then, without warning, cold metal pressed against his back. He turned slowly and stared into the eyes of his ex-girlfriend. Linda studied Matt's face through the grime and dust. Recognition flickered in her eyes before she lowered the gun. Still cautious, she had him handcuffed and taken to the contamination center. Machines buzzed, scanning him for infection and radiation. Cleared, he was led to the colony's mess hall, where he tore into a tray of peas, stew, and canned juice. Linda watched from across the table, arms folded, her expression softening. Afterward, Matt was escorted to Sergeant Xavier's, a hard-faced man who wasted no time. Pointing to a chart labeled Wife System, he laid it out plainly. Too many men, too few women. New male arrivals were expected to take on domestic roles, cooking, cleaning, supporting soldiers. Survival had a price. Matt's mind raced. He asked about Linda, clinging to hope. Xavier's jaw tightened. Linda was already his wife, married for 6 months. Matt was given a brutal choice: accept the new role, surrender his old identity, or be thrown back into the wasteland alone. 3 hours. That was all he had to decide: whether to submit to the colony's rules or try to survive in a dying world. Matt wandered outside, his mind reeling from Sergeant Xavier's orders. The sun beat down warmly, but inside he felt cold, adrift. Across the yard, dozens moved about. At first glance, women in bright, flowing dresses. But a closer look revealed many were men, their makeup neat, their heels clicking softly against the ground. Some gossiped and laughed in groups. Others lingered near soldiers, smiling like contented partners. Matt hesitated as a few noticed him, their curious smiles and whispered jokes marking him as the newcomer. They moved with a grace that suggested full acceptance of this strange new life. Watching their dresses sway as they walked away, Matt felt the weight of reality settle deep into his bones. He returned indoors and stood before a cracked mirror, bowl in hand, staring at his reflection. The split glass fractured his face, as if mirroring the life he was about to leave behind. Alone, survival was impossible. Without looking back, Matt made his way to Sergeant Xavier's. A sealed parcel was placed in his hands, everything he would need to begin. Tomorrow, he would no longer be just a survivor. He would become a housewife. His new life had already begun. Matt opened the parcel: a white t-shirt, soft pink leggings, beige heels, and a letter with instructions: shower, dress, and sleep, ready for the morning. After a long shower, he pulled on the unfamiliar clothes, the soft fabric pressing a strange finality against his skin. Beside his worn boots now sat the heels he would wear from tomorrow. At dawn, he slid into the heels, each step unsteady as he followed the letter's final command: report to the transforming room. At the door, he hesitated, knocked, and when it opened, Linda stood waiting, ready to reshape his life. Matt sat down, heart pounding, as Linda stood firm before him. Gone was the woman he once knew. In her place was a hardened figure of authority, shaped by survival. With calm efficiency, she gestured to the chair in front of the mirror. Matt obeyed, his mind swirling with desperation and disbelief. Linda picked up a pink razor and began shaving the thick foam from his face, her movements steady and practiced. As she worked, her voice remained low and firm, explaining the reality he couldn't escape. This wasn't about desire, but duty, about preserving the fragile balance that kept the colony alive. Without pause, she moved to eyeliner, carefully tracing his lids, marking his scalp where a custom wig would be fitted later. Matt sat rigid, fists clenched, staring at his own reflection. Linda spoke of sacrifice and pride, of how survival now demanded new roles some men had to fill. It wasn't weakness, she said, but purpose. In a world broken by war, caregiving, loyalty, and peace were just as vital as strength. Matt swallowed hard as she gently outlined his future: to serve, to support, and to help the colony not just survive, but rebuild. Linda secured the blonde wig on Matt's head, adding a final touch of lipstick. He stared blankly at the mirror, barely recognizing himself. His heart pounded, lips trembling. Silently, he rose, the wig brushing his shoulders, makeup flawless, and made his way toward the next room. Matt stepped out in a yellow floral dress, the soft fabric brushing his knees. Facing the mirror, he froze. Blonde hair, smooth skin, painted lips. The reflection was almost unrecognizable. Linda watched quietly, then pinned a name tag on his chest. Maria, a name chosen from a memory of his mother. Heart pounding, Maria walked to the canteen. She braced for stares or laughter but found none. Around her, others like her sat in colorful dresses, eating beside soldiers, chatting softly. This world had moved on, reshaped by survival, and now, Maria would have to find her place within it. Before Maria could be introduced to her future husband, Linda oversaw every detail of her transformation. It started in private: lipstick practice, posture adjustments, and being laced into painfully tight corsets. Though Maria resisted at first, Linda's presence was a constant, gentle when obeyed, firm when challenged. Under Linda's strict guidance, Maria's rough edges faded. Boots became heels. Strength became grace. Paraded before the colony's women, she endured silent corrections. Hair brushed, apron straightened, speech softened. Humiliation burned her cheeks, but resistance faded. Survival demanded surrender, and Maria was slowly molded into the housewife the colony expected. By month's end, Linda was satisfied, especially with Maria's softened, curvier figure. As a final trial, Maria spent 48 grueling hours laced into a corseted dress, enduring pain that made surviving the apocalypse seem easy. Now she sat among other quiet women in a small classroom, facing a chalkboard that read, "How to be a good wife." Linda, poised and commanding, laid out the expectations: support, soothe, serve. Romance was fleeting, duty was absolute. Maria had come a long way, blending into her new life with surprising grace, but the dread never left her. After attending the lessons, the thought of meeting her assigned husband sent a cold chill through her. Desperate, clinging to a last shred of hope, she found Linda in the rose garden, wearing her softest purple dress and using her most delicate, practiced voice. Linda smiled, a sweet, empty smile that offered no comfort and promised help. Moments later, Maria found herself dressed in a provocative red mini dress, lips painted bright, hair brushed to perfection, heels clicking nervously on the polished floor. Linda guided her into a room where a tall, sharp-eyed officer waited. Sergeant Dempsey studied Maria with mild surprise before taking her hand. His words struck with a final, quiet blow. She was already so ready, so prepared. Maria swallowed hard, her cheeks burning with shame. In that moment, it became clear. Linda hadn't rescued her at all. She had simply molded her perfectly for surrender. The life Maria once knew was gone, and the life she now stepped into had no space left for who she used to be. Maria stood in the bridal chamber, dressed in a delicate white gown and veil, her short blonde wig neatly styled beneath it. Linda steadied her trembling hands, urging her to stay composed for the community's sake. But Maria felt no bravery, only dread. This wasn't heroism, it was surrender. Led to the altar, Maria stood beside Sergeant Dempsey as the vows were read. Heart pounding, she barely whispered, "I do." Their first kiss was brief and formal, the crowd's cheers distant in her ears. Maria's new life had been sealed, a role she never chose but could no longer escape. After the wedding, Maria moved in with Sergeant Dempsey, adjusting slowly to her new life. Despite Linda's training, living as a wife felt surreal. Sergeant Dempsey remained patient, and together they made appearances at formal events, where Maria, dressed perfectly, upheld their image. At home, she prepared meals, attended cooking workshops, and tried to bond with other women, maintaining a graceful facade. Beneath her smile, unease lingered. Sergeant Dempsey noticed the distance but said nothing, quietly hoping she would one day bridge it herself. For now, Maria followed the routine, surviving one careful step at a time. As the days passed, Sergeant Dempsey's patience thinned, and he gently invited Maria to join him in bed. Nervous but expecting this moment, Maria quietly agreed. He reassured her with calm words, asking only for trust and a chance to build their bond, promising he would wait for her comfort. Moved by his kindness, Maria chose to stay. That night, for the first time, they shared a bed. Although they didn't do anything, Maria felt a bit of comfort sleeping next to her husband. Over time, Maria and Sergeant Dempsey grew more comfortable around each other. She saw how tirelessly he worked to protect the community, and compared to her old life, her new routine felt almost easy. Listening to the other housewives share their stories, Maria slowly began to embrace her role. When Dempsey and his crew went missing for days, fear gripped her. But on the third day, he returned, battered but alive after a fall in the mountains. Silent with relief, Maria cared for his wounds and offered tea, realizing just how deeply her life had become tied to his. Their relationship shifted as Maria realized how much her husband truly sacrificed. For the first time, she felt she wasn't doing enough. Remembering Linda's lessons, she pushed past the lingering resistance within her. Survival meant embracing her role fully. Determined to support him, Maria made small changes, wearing more revealing outfits, applying lipstick with greater care, and shyly asking him to zip up her dresses. Each gesture, though difficult, was her way of showing gratitude and commitment. Slowly, she began accepting the part she had been given, understanding it was no longer just about survival, it was about loyalty too. One evening, Maria decorated the house and prepared a candlelit dinner to ease her husband's weariness. Dressed in a fitted red dress, flawless makeup, and rose-scented perfume, she greeted Sergeant Dempsey warmly. They sat across a small table, wine glasses full, candles flickering gently between them. As the evening unfolded, conversation turned personal, and Dempsey admitted how lonely he had felt before her. Sensing the moment, Maria leaned in and kissed him softly. Dempsey responded with growing passion, whispering his relief. In that quiet, flickering light, Maria finally let herself embrace the role she had once resisted. That night, the kiss deepened, and for the first time, Maria and Sergeant Dempsey shared true intimacy. As he undressed her gently in the darkness, Maria surrendered with quiet trust. She lost her virginity that night, but gained something unexpected, a sense of belonging. Each passing night, their connection grew stronger. What began as duty slowly transformed into genuine pleasure and comfort. Maria was no longer just surviving. She was living a new life, fulfilling the role she had once feared. In the arms of her husband, she found not just survival, but a new, undeniable identity as a housewife. 3 months later, Maria strolled through the ruins with her two best friends, all in bright, frilly dresses. Dressed in peach pink with puffed sleeves, she twirled and laughed until she spotted a rugged, disoriented man nearby, clearly fresh from Sergeant Xavier's briefing. Maria froze, a wave of déjà vu washing over her. With playful grins, she and her friends approached him, barely holding back their laughter. Maria pointed at him, her eyes sparkling with mischief, silently welcoming him to the life ahead. She knew the confusion on his face well. Soon, he too would understand what survival